one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Appreciate everyone being here. It looks like we have a good crowd tonight. It's always good to see a community that's engaged. Roll call vote, please.
Holt.
Here.
Nikki. Here. Sarah. Here. Phillips. Lynn.
Here.
Bradford.
Here.
Tatum.
Here.
Lemmings.
Here.
Bass.
Here. Not with us tonight is Mary Phillips. She is away on a trip. A very nice one. You have before you a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve? Second. We have a motion made and second to approve the minutes from the September meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify with the same sign. You have a copy of the treasurer's report. Do I hear a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion we accept as written.
I second.
Motion's been made and second to accept the treasurer's report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the appropriations analysis. Do I hear a motion to approve the appropriations analysis?
I move we approve it.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the appropriations analysis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? County Roads and Equipment Report. The County Road Department has completed the work on Old Highway 9, the area of chronic washouts. After the road has settled, we will add another layer of gravels, and we're getting really close to doing that. The section will receive a replacement chip and seal surface next year. The bridge was a 50-50 mitigation grant project. Work is in progress on the Buttercreek Bridge. When completed, the bridge will be 4 feet wider, 2 feet taller, have concrete wing walls and concrete approaches. This new bridge should last for decades to come. Immediately upon completion of Buttercreek, work will begin on the Shirley Bridge to pass the far end section. Many citizens do not realize that the old train bridge is actually used as an actual vehicular bridge to carry vehicles. The historic Shirley Train Bridge is the only crossing over that river for several residents on the other side of the river. Sometimes when the river is low, traffic can cross through the river, but those times are few and far between. Culverts and drainage projects scheduled soon include Rumley Road, Watson Road, Foster Cemetery Road, Buttercreek, in addition to the bridge we're just doing, Wilderness Trail, which is also known as Highway 389, Graysville Cutoff. We have 2 places, Klondike Road, several others, and the road department will not shut down this year for the week of deer season or for the traditional 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year. The employees are more than welcome to take that time if they have their time built up, but we are not going to just shut the department down because we have a lot of work to do. At this time, I would like to ask Emma Smiley and Brian Freeman if they would stand, please. As most of the county is aware, last month we had an abrupt vacancy in one of our offices. And it's always nice to be able to ask someone, would you be willing to help us out? Not only did Brian and Emma say, of course we will, they said, we look forward to it. We look forward to learning something new. It's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be something that's a little bit different than what we do every day. So we're looking forward to it. I think that kind of positive attitude deserves appreciation. And I asked Brian to be here, so I would really, I would appreciate it myself if y'all would appreciate him and Emma. Because of what they're willing to do, we're not going to replace that position, which is going to be budget ahead, smaller government. It's just good all the way around. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Sheriff's report.
Well, just like the county judge, we're not gonna shut down for deer season or Christmas Eve, so, we're gonna continue working. I did hand out the, activity log from all of our departments, and I'm available for questions now or after the meeting. And that's where we stand now. We're right in the middle of budget season, so y'all know where my head's at, so that's what we're trying to accomplish right now.
Are there any elected officials who would like to address the court? Court, would you like to address any elected officials who are present? Move along to the jail committee, Tracy Hazelwood. We have we're gonna limit this part of the program to 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Okay. Well, my name's Tracy Hazelwood. I volunteered to be on the jail committee because I've had over 10 years' experience in the jail. So I knew what y'all was going to be facing, and so me and my partners in crime here, Laura Davis and Mitchell, is been working since July. We started meeting in July the 2nd. We met every week. The group wanted to meet every week because it was such a big task that we were asked to look at. The first thing I want you to look at is that the jail committee started on the 7th. We only ended up with 7 people at the max at any of our meetings. Sometimes we only had 3, sometimes we only had 4. But I think we did a good job and covered what we did. We looked at the review thing that y'all got, which was, for one, are inmates being separated by class? The answer was no. Was the facility sufficient on personnel to do the duties that they were required to do? The answer was no. Is the space provided for administrative and staff functions? No. So pretty much we're in non-compliance on all 3 of those issues. More than that, but we talked over with the jail and with the sheriff's office. They have addressed a lot of the smaller issues that they were able to. Them 3 is the main 3. Since 2013, the review committee has presented to y'all, to the Quorum Court, to the sheriff. It's been non-compliant. How long is it going to be before we get into compliance? That's the question we need to start asking ourselves. We have to make a choice. We can't just keep bypassing it every year. Van Buren County was found to be overcrowded and understaffed. Current operations had outpaced, and the current staff level is just not very good for the staff, what they need. The inmate population had exceeded the scope and the capacity of the current building. The detention center's limited space and limited staffing gives rise to concerns with regards to public safety, the county safety, the employee safety, visitor safety, and inmate safety. In the event of a foreseeable emergency, there's only 52 beds in that facility. 18 are contracted to the feds. 6 are contracted with 309s from ADC. That only leaves 46 beds for in-house county inmates. Right now, I sent out what our count was. We started in the 30s and 40s in January. We're in the 90s. That's way overpopulated. That's bad. Every jail has a constitutional max population. Sebastian County, through litigation, set the standard at 43.3 feet per inmate. It's important to realize that that limit should be looked at first and foremost. Do you have the feet to put a person there? All jail standards says is that the detainees should be provided and have the right to humane treatment, which provides for clean living quarters and healthy, safe, and secure environment. With 96 and a 52 bed, is that secure? Is that safe? Is that humane? Now I want to turn over to Laura, and she's going to explain to you the classification thing.
I'm Laura Davis, and unlike my partners, I don't have any kind of law enforcement experience. I'm just a citizen. And so I didn't know nearly as much as they did. Tracy has jail experience and Mitch has police and sheriff deputy experience. So I came into it not knowing anything, but the facts speak for themselves. Our jail is over 20 years old. There are times that the population is double what it was designed to hold. And for this and other reasons, the State Criminal Detention Facilities Review Committee has found us to be non-compliant in multiple categories since 2013 and during every review since. At that time and since, we were found to be overcrowded and understaffed. Arkansas standards state, as Tracy said, that detainees are entitled to humane treatment and a healthy, safe, and secure environment. These matters have not been addressed, and that is what we have looked into. We really can't go much longer. And I am going to talk about classification. If, like me, you don't know how classification applies in the context of a jail, what it really refers to is the separation of detainees according to the following categories. Gender, of course, male from female detainees. Age, juvenile detainees from non-juvenile. Civil, witness and civil detainees from criminal detainees. Special, detainees with special problems. That would be alcoholics, narcotic addicts, mentally disturbed persons, physically ill or handicapped persons, persons with communicable diseases. These categories have grown immensely. You can just read any of the county papers and see that going on. Misdemeanors from felonies, of course. Trustees, work release and trustee detainees from other detainees to the extent possible. Classification is constitutionally required, if necessary, to protect detainees from violence and contagious diseases. If proof shows causal connection between improper classification and the violation of a constitutionally protected right, there may be what is called a failure to protect. Also, with more individuals identifying with diverse sexual orientation, there is increased need to be able to separate them for their safety. Jail law and legal precedent is very clear regarding any facility that is overcrowded. We are legally obligated to protect all classifications of detainee, and with our jail's inability to do so, we face the threat of legal action or being ordered to send our detainees elsewhere at greater expense to our county, and or losing the opportunity to operate our jail. Refusing to accept detainees could result in persons being free to continue their behaviors, and if we were forced to refuse federal prisoners, which we presently can accept, we would lose a major source of income for the jail and for the county. It's a matter of deciding whether to make a short-term but costly fix or to address issues for the long term.
Well, McDonald is next.
What was that name again?
McDonald, I think it was. I was asked to do a study on our staffing needs because the question that was asked by the review committee at the state level was, does the facility have sufficient personnel on duty at all times? Van Buren County Detention Center works 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. To cover this time period, the detention center is currently manning 2 shifts of 3 people, each working a 12-hour shift. Our current, give you an idea of what our inmate population is. Last year, in 2018, we had a total of 773 inmates for the year. In 2019, as of yesterday, 1,518. Our inmate population has doubled. So the question has to be asked, what do we do? Well, the National Institute of Corrections developed a staffing analysis workbook. It's about 45 pages long. And they got like 45 different forms that you have to go through. Myself and the committee spent roughly about 8 weeks pulling data from the Sheriff's Office Management System and doing personal interviews with the jail administrator, the sheriff, and the other things we looked at is the examination of how the jail actually operates. We collected all this data. We looked at calculation of the staffing needs. We examined the staffing issues that were detected in the various analysis of the information. And we did follow-up interviews also. And I have that data if you want to look at it. You know, we can talk offline and I'll be more than willing to provide it to you. But bottom line is that how many detention officers do we really need? Well, the Bureau of Justice Statistics conducts a census on state and federal prisons in the U.S. The most recent census estimated that the ratio of inmates to correctional officers in state prisons nationwide is 4.9 to 1, or about 10 officers for every 49 inmates. For federal prisons, the ratio is 10.3 to 1, or about 1 officer for every 10 inmates. Van Buren County currently has a jail ratio of 30 inmates per 1 detention officer. And you can see that we're really outside of the margin for safety purposes. So we'll do a summary with you guys and provide you our recommendations on that.
The packet I sent out with the blueprints, we had Davis Construction come out just to look at the jail to see what it would take to remodel versus building a whole new one because we knew, you know, the budget the way it is. So they come out and looked at it. That's what they come up with. We had an architect come out. We had a construction manager. We had several on-site meetings. The jail was originally built to be added on to, but how they run out of money when they built on or what they did, they put a pitched roof. That's going to be impossible to build onto now. So it'll show you on one of the walls where it goes out from the jail and then builds out. That's going to be costly in itself. But that, just what you, on those, is only a Band-Aid fix. We're going to spend a lot of money on something that we can house right now. So that's something else you need to consider in the future is, do we just want to keep Band-Aid, 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 Band-Aiding, or try to find something that we can all work with? If we decide something bigger in the future, we can look at other sources to bring into this county. You can house other ones, because every little jail is going through this problem now. Every little jail. They're having to ship people out. We could be that outlet to house them at a cost. We could house more federal inmates, remodel, get us, if we got a bigger and better facility, we could use the old facility to just house all federal. That's more income for us, for the county. If we wanted to house juveniles, that's a big income for the county. So there's a lot of issues that we can look at. If anybody wants to talk about it later on, we can sit down and show you some more stuff about it. The main thing is we're out of non-compliant in 3 areas. And the root cause of those 3 main areas is the structure of the jail. And there's no help for it. The sheriff's office, the jail, has done what they can with what they've got. The time now is to start deciding, make choices. They just want to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, you didn't even take your 15.
I did.
Good job.
So,
Good job.
can I just say thank y'all for your time? I know what it is to volunteer, and you're taking time away from your families and putting your heart and soul into it, and it's a worthy cause. And I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing from them again and doing work with them in the future. Next on the agenda, we need to cover our legislative audit, and then we'll need to approve it. If you will turn to page 5, you will see those are the only findings that were brought from this legislative audit. This covered the year of 2018 and only the year of 2018. Those are pretty self-explanatory. If you'd like to read that, those will be reviewed by Carol Cruz. Are there any questions? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve our legislative audit?
I make a motion to approve legislative audit.
I second.
It's been motioned and second to approve the legislative audit. Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have our Board of Governors here. They do a very good job of taking care of the property out at the hospital. They're back there all together. They deserve our respect. They deserve our appreciation. They work tirelessly in very difficult position in a difficult situation. The mildew could have turned to mold in a hurry, but they mitigated that. They remediated the problem, and it's been dealt with very efficiently. So thank you, Board of Governors. Next on the agenda is an ordinance. John Bradford, you have the second reading of your ordinance.
By title only, or?
I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to conduct the second reading by title
I'll make a
only.
motion to suspend the rules for second reading.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. That motion has been second and third. No, that motion has been made in second to suspend the rules to do the second reading by title only. Roll call vote for suspension.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
You may read for the second reading by title only.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance establishing a process to file an application for a private club permit in the unincorporated area of Van Buren County, Arkansas.
Thank you.
I move this ordinance be approved.
Actually, it's just the second reading, so we're just reading it for us. Is there any discussion on the second reading of this ordinance?
Will we discuss after the third, or it's this?
You'll be able to discuss all the way up until approval.
Okay. I thought you wanted to go ahead. Okay, we can do it now. I was talking to John, my only issue that I have with the ordinance is, we got the list of the current permits. I guess my issue would be, if we don't have to put a number, why would we put a number? If we lay out a process where it goes through the safety committee and then to us, I think I would prefer to look at it as a case-by-case basis, because I think when we went through that list, didn't we find that there was already 4 in the county? And so I think we were on the line of whether there were 4 or 5 that fell in the county. So then you're saying if there are 5, we're gonna take one away, and then, or we're saying we wouldn't allow, no one would be eligible to get a new one. And so if I value the ordinance and having it in place, but putting a number on it, I just don't see a reason to do that.
I agree, from a revenue standpoint.
I'll back you up on that.
John,
The number.
what'd you think about that?
I think it's probably best, like we said, got 4 in the county. I mean, why deny the 5th one, you know? It's gonna be pretty well vetted time it gets through all this. I mean, goes to a safety committee, and you do all that, we look it over, making sure everything's like, these ducks in a row, so.
And I think it's a pretty fairly extensive process. for the people that live around where it's gonna be, for them to be notified, for them to have the opportunity to come and express concerns that they might have. So it's definitely not an automatic thing. And then beyond us, they have to get approval,
From the state.
yeah, from the state. So I would make a motion to amend it to remove the number.
I second that, if we can do that now.
Sure, we should,
Keep
yes.
the ordinance,
Okay.
the process.
Okay, and then that would be reflected in the ordinance itself at the next reading.
Third reading, okay.
And at the next reading, we'll read it in its entirety. So do I hear a motion? Let's see, we have a motion to amend. And do we have a second?
I say
We have a motion and a second to amend. Roll call vote for amendment.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll entertain the third reading next month. Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance by Justice Lemmings.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, the State of Arkansas, appropriation ordinance to be entitled, appropriation ordinance to appropriate money back into the county budget's, judge's budget from the county road fund. Whereas the bills were paid from the county judge's budget and the county general that should have been paid from the county road fund. And whereas the monies should have been transferred from the county road fund and appropriated back into the county general in the county judge's budget as follows. $953.06 from 2000-200-2001 to 1000-100-201 general supplies, and $35.89 from 2000-200-3094 to 1100-3094 meals and lodging. Now therefore be ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $988.95 be transferred from the county road fund and appropriated into the general fund into the county judge's budget as shown above. Move that we approve it as written.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. This was a clerical error on the part of my office. This happened way back in January. We pulled it out of county general instead of county roads. A complete and total accident. See that because the category was struggling. So it's the fixed step. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-43.
Thank you. Our next ordinance was sponsored by Mary Phillips. Sarah Brown, would you mind reading that for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance establishing vote centers for Van Buren County for all future elections and declare an emergency. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, pursuant to Arkansas Code Annotated 7-5-101E1B of the election laws of the State of Arkansas, the county may adopt an ordinance to establish vote centers for Van Buren County elections. Section 2, if any provisions or section of the ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions and sections of the ordinance, and to such end, the provisions and sections of this ordinance are declared severable. Section 3, in order to promote and facilitate the ongoing and orderly business of Van Buren County and its employees, and being necessary for the protection and preservation of the public health, safety, and welfare, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced and shall take effect upon passage and publication. Move this be accepted.
I'll say.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
I do. I would like to know how the areas were brought out to
And I guess the basic, I mean, because I'm still getting some phone calls about, you know, we represent the center of the county, with Clinton. We represent the northern part of the county, with the north. We represent the eastern part of the county and the southern part of the county, but we don't represent the western part of the county at all. How did we pick these, and why do we not represent the people from the western part of the county with a voting center?
Would someone from the election commission like to come to the microphone, please?
I'm Johnny Rhoda, the chairman for the commission, and I appreciate your question, Brian. It's a good one. The way we did that is we took the population basis for the county, and we took a string and a map, and we drew it out around each of the vote center locations so that nobody'd have to drive, or say nobody, minimal people have to drive more than 15 miles. So that's how we came up with that rationale for doing that. But there's compared to the eastern part of the county, there's not that many people live in the western part. So we just didn't see it economical to put one out there.
They don't like yours in our area, that's what it is.
Well, I mean, you gotta drive a long way to vote.
And again, too, you know, there's 2 weeks of early voting. Anybody can come in and vote then. Anybody can vote absentee, and we've had a lot of discussion about that. And most of the elderly people or people that can't get around real well, they're going to use that option. We've already talked to probably 50 people at least. So we don't think this is going to be a problem at all. If it was, we would not present it.
John, was there also a problem with electronics?
Yeah. We've got to have internet out there that's dependable. It's not. And our telco's not going to put it out there, so we just couldn't put one there. That answer your question, sir?
Answer mine, I mean.
Any other
I don't live in the
questions?
western part, but.
Thanks, Dale. Any other questions?
You're cutting them from 21 precincts down to 4.
4, not precincts, vote centers.
Well, I know you'll have precincts and there's a bunch of precincts in one of these voting centers.
The precincts remain the same. We're just closing the polling places.
So good luck, because you're going to have a lot of problems there.
We've already encountered maybe 6 or 8 people that have opposed it, but after sitting down and talking to us, they all understood. And generally, they're the elderly people that, you know, and we've tried to satisfy everybody that we can, but we can't satisfy everyone.
And no matter where you live, you can go to any of the voting
That's the
centers.
good part of it,
Yeah. So, yeah.
The vote centers operate actually just like the early voting. So, anybody can go anywhere. Any other questions?
You said 15 miles, nobody's going down more 15 miles?
No, there's some people have to drive over, but the majority of the county will not have to drive more than 15 miles. Virgil's an exception.
You're right.
Mr. Ross.
Any other questions,
Is this not something,
comments?
is this not something that we have to move towards regardless? So,
The State Election Commission has told us we need to do it. Most of the counties in the state have already done it. We're a couple of years behind, actually. And so, and again, too, we cannot find competent, qualified people to man the polls. I had a gentleman in today, was concerned that we're closing Holly Mountain, and when I told him, I said, we can't find competent, qualified people, he agreed, and he's 85 years old. And so, we just can't run the elections using post-depression activities. We're in the 21st century, we've got to move up.
And this will save the county thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And going to voting centers, we are able to get new voting equipment. If we hadn't have done this, then we wouldn't.
I don't have a problem with voting centers. I'm just gonna be real curious when the next election's over on how many people out west voted.
Well, if there's a problem, have them call me.
I mean,
Or come see me.
I think a lot of them just not gonna do it. They're not gonna drive, because there's a lot of people out there that don't drive town. I mean, let's be honest, they live out there for a reason, but.
They can vote absentee, and we will do direct mail to every voter in the county advising them that they can, if they don't want to come in, they can request an absentee ballot. So we're not penalizing or hurting any voter anywhere. They have the same opportunity to vote that they had the last election cycle.
Is that absentee through the mail? Is that what
Yes, sir. Just like our servicemen do.
And I hope it works out. I'm just saying, I got some pretty good phone calls. And I
Well,
don't know
if it works out, y'all take the credit. If it bombs, blame me. Okay? Any other questions?
I can do
Comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go forth and do good.
Thank you. All righty, roll call
Wait a
vote.
minute, Carol, does that meet the criteria for an emergency?
Actually, anything you put an emergency ordinance on can fit the criteria of being an emergency. It just, do you want that clause on there?
Yeah, I think that's a determination that y'all can make.
We kind of have to be ready for our new machines and to be ready for the primary.
Okay.
Because it's in March, the primary's in March this
Yeah.
year, so you're on more of a time crunch than you were last election cycle, I think probably in October.
All right. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings?
Yes.
Bass?
No, I can't vote.
Is that enough?
It's gonna be too much trouble.
2019-44.
Thank you. Our next ordinance will be read by Justice Lynn.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to appropriate monies back into the OEM budget from the county road fund. Whereas the OEM salaries has been split between county general and county road, and whereas a portion of the salary has been taken from the OEM budget and county general that should have been charged out to county road budget. Whereas the monies need to be transferred back to the OEM budget from county road as follows. $48 from 2000-200-1001 to 1,000 to 500 to 1,001 salaries full-time. $14.53 from 2,000-200-1010 to 1,000-500-1010 workman's comp. 5407 from 2,200, 1011 to 1,500, 1011 unemployment. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of the Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, 11660 be transferred from the county road fund and appropriated into county general to the OEM budget as shown above. I move that we approve this ordinance.
Do you have a second? Motion's been made and second to approve this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings?
Yes.
Bass?
Yes.
2019-45.
Thank you. Our next ordinance will be read by Justice Bass.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance, number 2019-59, the annual operating budget for 2019, to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $250 into the district court budget, number 1,409. Whereas the district court has received a check for grant reimbursement from the state, and whereas the monies shall be appropriated to the district court budget, number 1,409. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $250 be appropriated to district court budget number 1,409, 3100, other miscellaneous. Move for its adoption.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-46.
Our next ordinance was dropped in just a little bit late. I do apologize for that, but we will need to suspend the rules to be able to entertain this ordinance. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to entertain this one last ordinance.
So
Or
moved.
two last ordinances.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to suspend the rules for the purpose of entertaining two additional ordinances. Roll call vote for suspension.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Who's second?
Tatum. Okay. First one will be sponsored and read by Justice Holt.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend ordinance number 2018-59, the annual operating budget for 2019, to increase the revenue and appropriate $120,000 into 3009-0700-3104 landfill tipping fees. Whereas the volume of trash at the solid waste has almost doubled, and whereas the high volume also brings in additional revenue, and whereas line item 3009-0700-3104 needs to be increased to handle the additional volume for the remainder of the year. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that $120,000 is hereby appropriated to line item 3009-0700-3104 landfill tipping fees. Move to approve this.
Motion's been made and second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-47.
Thank you. The next ordinance will be read by Justice Tatum.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2019-59, the annual operating budget for 2019 to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $11,887.50 into the Sheriff's Office budget number 1000-400. Whereas the Sheriff's Office held an auction on June 22nd, 2019, earning $11,887.50. And whereas this money is to be used to purchase firearms for Van Buren County deputies. And whereas $11,887.50 will need to be appropriated in the Sheriff's budget, 1000-400-4004 equipment. Now therefore it be ordained by the Quorum Court, Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $11,887.50 be appropriated into the Sheriff's Office budget, number 1000-400-4004 equipment. Move is approved as written.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-48.
You see before you a copy of some transfers. I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to entertain, to dispense with the audible readings of the transfers.
Be good.
Second.
We have two other ones.
Okay. Okay. This first suspension is for the ones that are in the packet. The motion's been made and second. Who made that motion?
I did.
Okay. And second by Brown? Sarah Brown. All right. Nikki Brown. Somebody Brown.
Somewhere.
Roll call vote for suspension on the audible readings.
Holt.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any Any questions or discussion about the first round of transfers? Okay. All in favor of approving the transfers as written, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have 2 additional transfers that were brought to our attention. This time I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to entertain these last 2 transfers by title only, or by, yeah, we need to read them. We'll need to read those. We'll entertain the last 2 transfers. We'll read them in just a minute.
Can we read the last two?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Which transfer?
Which transfer?
She will read them.
This one is a correction.
Okay.
This one is the Corps of Engineers.
Okay. Okay. So do I hear a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of entertaining the last 2 transfers? Second. Second. Motion been made and second to suspend the rules to entertain the last 2 transfers. Roll call vote for suspension.
Holt?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings? Bass?
Yes.
Did you say? Let's get you.
Okay. Will you please read the transfers?
Let me do.
You bet.
This is for the collector, $550 for meals and lodging, $1,104.3094 to maintenance and service contracts, $1,104.2024, and $200 from travel and mileage, $1,104.3030 to postage, $1,104.3069. And Corps of Engineers, $4,000 to from $1,410.3100 out of miscellaneous to $1,410.2007 and levy fuel. That's it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the last 2 transfers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Any opposed? Thank you.